This is going to be the ultimate guide for anyone starting out in aim trainers, but even if you're a seasoned veteran, I made sure that everyone will learn something from this video. And if it helps, I've been playing FPS games for 15 years, I've helped tons of people in my Discord server and my friends, and I've hit Voltaic Masters, and I'm currently climbing up to Grandmaster. So welcome to Shoddy's Yap Session, Episode 3, better known as the greatest background noise. If you're new here, welcome to the channel. This is the series where I yap about anything for any amount of time, and it's perfect for you to turn on in the background and maybe aim train, play an FPS game, cook, clean, whatever you want to do. So the first thing we're going to go into is what is aim, what is the fundamentals of aim, and why should we train it? Aim is just hand-eye coordination for a video game. You see what's happening on your screen and you move accordingly. But aim is also the fundamental for everything when you play an FPS game. If you have bad aim, you can't really hide it much, you know? There's not much you can do about that. And when you're aiming, there's three primary fundamentals that people talk about. They talk about clicking, tracking, and switching. And all three of these you use in different games. Like you could say TAC FPS games like Valorant, CSGO, you kind of use clicking more and it's mostly micro adjustments in that game. And then you play something like COD and it's all switching. And then for tracking, you'd play something like Apex Legends where the targets are moving fast, far, and the hardest part about it is kind of just staying on target. Now, why should you aim train? Plenty of people, I've heard it way too much in my life. Everyone asks me, well, why do you aim train? Why don't you just play the game? Or when I try to convince someone to aim train, they tell me, I'm just going to play the game. It doesn't matter. I'll just get good at the game by playing the game. Which, yes, of course you're going to get better at the game by playing the game. And I do recommend many people, if you want to get better at one game, just play the game. Stop talking about, oh, well, I have to aim train because someone told me to and this and that. Aim train is supplementary. It's not mandatory. So if you just want to get good at Valorant, and you want to get good at all facets of Valorant, not just, oh, I want better aim, then just play Valorant, and maybe add aim training to hone some of your skills. But if you want better aim, there is nothing better than aim training. And that's why people that actually play aim trainers versus pro players, there's such a night and day difference between them. Many people have heard about the Red Bull tournament way back, and all the pro players weren't even as good as the worst aim trainer players. And that's just the truth of it. That's when Matty OW started getting a huge name for himself, because everyone knew that he's the one that won that tournament. But aim training versus being a pro player or really good at one game are two different conversations. The aim of most pro players isn't even in the conversation of good aim when it comes to the aim community or pro players in aiming. Now, obviously, that's kind of an exaggeration and there's exceptions and blah, blah, blah. Put down the pitchforks, please. Don't kill me. I understand. It's a generalization, okay? I see you typing over there in that comment. Stop it. Type nice comments, okay? I have feelings. So if you really just decide to yourself, I want goated aim, I want to be cracked, I want this, I want that, I want to hit more shots than the other person, then you have to aim train. Because you're never going to get all the fundamentals of your aim down without it. And of course, it's obvious that if you play an aim trainer, it's much more direct work. How many times, let's say in a battle royale, how many times do you get a chance to aim? How many times do you get in gunfights? And if you're bad at gunfights, how many times do you get in multiple? You usually just die out right off the rip and then that's it. I used to have a strategy with my friend back in the day when PUBG was a thing and it was super popular. We would hot drop at the most popular places. One of them was school that we always hot dropped in. We would just try to get a gun as fast as possible and get in a gunfight because we sucked. And both of us didn't really aim train back then. So that was the best work we could get. But nowadays, you don't need to. You just hop in an aim trainer, you maybe copy a playlist, or you watch this video to the end, and I'll give you more playlists, more everything. But hopefully by now I've convinced you that, okay, yeah, maybe I don't want to have to hot drop to get better aim or get practice in gunfights. I'll aim train. But before you can aim train, you need a mouse, you need to find out the right ones, and you need to figure out how not to hurt yourself along with getting the proper mousepad. So first, choosing a mouse. In my Discord, I shill this beautiful thing called RocketJumpNinja.com. I believe Rocket Jump Ninja used to be a YouTuber, and he did a lot of mouse reviews and different things, and he used to be a really good aimer as well. And he has this website, which I'm probably going to link in the description. If not, it's already in my Discord in the resources tab. And this website, you watch his video right here, and you write down your hand size, your type of grip, and other preferences that you have for a mouse. If you don't know what kind of grip you have or you don't know where to start, I'll get to that later in the video, but for now, you can watch this video, you can check it out, and you can see how you can find your perfect mouse. there's also tons of other websites like eloshapes.com. And this website, what it does is it lets you compare the sizes of other mice. Because maybe you have a mouse that you love the width of it, but you hate the length. So maybe you can look up through that and find out the different dimensions, find out what works for you and what's similar to other mice that you enjoy. But some people ask, well, why do I care about what size my mouse is? Well, unlike what other people might say, size matters. But seriously, the size of your mouse is a big decider for a lot of things. It decides on how precise you can be, how much control you have over your mouse, and I recently found out through my own testing, it will also help you decide on if you're going to hurt yourself or not. Now you might say, well, how'd you figure that out? There was this other guy who joined my Discord. He's better than me. He's like a Nova in Voltaic. And he said to me, I don't know how people keep hurting themselves. I aim train like 5 hours a day and I haven't hurt myself once. His name's Shimmy, if you know him. He's pretty popular in Voltaic and other places, so. And I asked him, I was like, okay, so maybe what mouse size do you have? And what hand size do you have? And he says, I have a small hand and I have a small mouse. And I looked at the mouse he had, and it is pretty tiny. He said that he had small hands, and it fit. And I've only hurt myself, really, when I use my favorite mice. Unfortunately, I have baseball gloves for hands, which at some point I'll do a face reveal in this video. Maybe you already saw me, maybe I put it at the start, maybe I put it with my cats. But yeah, hi, that's what I look like. And I have baseball glove hands. So it's very hard for me to find mice that work for me. I genuinely believe sometimes genetics is a pain in the butt for aim training, because I only like small mice. I have the Hot ES, I have this, I have that. And if you don't know if you should listen to me on mice, this is what my mouse draw looks like. And this isn't even half of them. So trust me, I know what I'm talking about with mice. I've spent way too much money I didn't have on mice because I needed to find what I liked and what worked for me. And I found that the Death Adder was the best mouse for me in terms of not hurting myself. I used that thing for hours. I never felt any wrist pain, any arm pain, any other kind of pain. But when I use the Hot ES, or I use the Pulsar X2 V2 Mini, or if I use the Final Mouse Small, all of them are my favorite mice. I love them. I love the way they feel, mostly because I do like a claw fingertip kind of grip. So it's much easier for me to pull the mouse closer and make precise movements when I have that extra leeway between my palm. But I found that this is probably what gives people carpal tunnel. So if you don't want carpal tunnel, please use the website. In general, his website's pretty accurate. I think that sometimes he doesn't have certain shapes. So what I would do if I was you, or if I were you, sorry, I would look up his mice. I would do kind of medium to low leniency. And then I would find what mouse size he says works for you. And then find a similar mouse size on Elo Shapes and compare and contrast the two. And you can find your perfect mouse like that. And if you don't have a lot of money to waste on mice, unfortunately, I'm not like a super YouTuber yet, so I can't give you guys discount codes or anything like that. But there are tons of cheap mice that you can get. And if you want to, Black Friday or Amazon Day usually sell super expensive mice for half the price, 1/4 of the price. So if you want to, I would wait up till then. But if you don't want carpal tunnel, please find one that's wide enough for your hand, because I've accepted I'm going to get carpal tunnel. Or I have to keep working out and strengthening my wrists and doing knuckle push-ups and fingertip push-ups and things like that to beef up my wrist. I was also looking at a photo of my wrist the other day. My right one is noticeably fatter than my left. It's kind of crazy. You know, I'd be doing that extracurricular activity too, possibly. But I don't know if I can keep that in the video. But next point is your Mousepad. I was just talking to my Discord. This guy has a magazine for his Mousepad. Not only is that light speed fast, and it's almost borderline uncontrollable, but please, guys, get a decent mousepad. There are like $10 mousepads, US. I know it's like, I know what it's like explaining to your parents, Mom, it's a mousepad. It's for gaming. It make me good. And then they look at you as like, are you stupid? You spent $60 on a piece of cloth? It's like, I understand. My dad used to kill me. The other day, I bought the other Final Mouse, right? There was another Final Mouse drop. And I just finished complaining to my dad I was dead broke not too long prior. And then he sees in the mail, it says Final Mouse on the box. And he says, Mike, please tell me this ain't another mouse. Mike, what are you going to do with all these mice? This better be the Final Mouse. It wasn't. I bought a new mouse the other day. I'm really stupid. Help me. But I get it. Convincing your parents, guys, please, or maybe you're old enough and you don't have to deal with that, but convincing my parents or convincing my dad for a long time, Dad, trust me, I need this mouse pad. I need this mouse, please. Listen, there are the best of the best mouse pads, Artisan. There's no contender on that. There's no conversation. Artisan is the best mouse pads you'll ever get. I don't think many people in the AIM community disagree with that. But it's a Japanese company, and you have to pay import fees. You have to import it in general. It takes long to ship, but they're the best of the best. It's like $70 or $60 per mouse pad. If you ever have the money, I would put the money into that because it is an investment, and it's a great investment. But let's say you don't have that money. I have a document that's from Voltaic, or Voltaic shared with me at least, or shared publicly, about mouse pads and what are the best ones. I'll put that in my description, or I'll have it in my Discord inside the resources tab. And you guys can look through that. You can find what the best ones are and what kind of speed you want to have for your mouse pad, and you can choose based off that. Now, there's usually a few types of mouse pads. There's glass, there's ceramic, there's hybrids, there's cloth, there's control pads, whatever. In general, for most people, please don't get a glass mouse pad. Please don't get ceramic. Just get a cloth one. When you get all into AIM and then you want to try new stuff, okay, get a glass one, get all that. I've never had one. I want one. I also, the first time I ever tried a ceramic one, it was awesome for tracking, and I hated clicking on it. But don't do it right away. There's no point. You don't need it. And for in general, the most of the population will never need it. So before you test that out, get a normal control pad or get a normal cloth pad, and then worry about from there. Now you have your mouse, you have your mouse pad, you had the correct size. Now for sensitivity. Sensitivity is measured in centimeters per 360. And all that really means is how many centimeters your mouse has to move in real life for you to move 1/360 in a game. So when you hear people ask, oh, what's your CM per 360 and blah, blah, blah. First of all, tell them, please speak English. What are you talking about? Second, that's what they're talking about. Now you know. I heard, even in my Discord, there were a few people talking about, yeah, what's your CM per 360? And I literally could hear the cogs turning in other people's heads whenever they'd say that, because they're like, what is this guy on about? My CM? What? Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Then there's your DPI. Most people know what their DPI is. Most people understand what that is. Long story short, dots per inch. It's basically how many dots your mouse tracks per inch you move. Blah, blah, blah. Long story short, the higher it is, the more precise it is because it's updating more often. And DPI also makes your in-game sensitivity faster. For example, 800 DPI is double the speed of 400, and 1600 is double the speed of 800. But in real games, it's hard to do a higher DPI. The reason why is because you can't get as precise of a sensitivity. Like if you've ever played like Valorant, you'll see you could do 0.001, but that's as far as you can go. You can only do 3 decimal places, when sometimes people need to do 4 for a really correct sensitivity. Or you'll just get so low that you're down to like a 0.1 and there's not much you can really change at that point, you know? So that's the only reason why I would advise against high DPI. So for most people, I would stick to 800, set it up, and then do it. But if you do prefer a more smooth, receptive kind of setup, then do that. Also, if you have a mouse and you don't know what your DPI is, most people can do a quick Google search. They say, what DPI of mouse? Pulsar 123, mouse 123. Whatever the name of your mouse is. Type it in, search it up, and then maybe your mouse will have color stages and it'll tell you green is 400, purple is 500, whatever. You can figure it out like that. If you're using a mouse that doesn't tell you your DPI, please stop using an office mouse. Go buy one from the 99-cent store. There's so many like great mice nowadays for so cheap that there's no reason you don't have a mouse that you can customize the DPI on. Maybe when I'm famous, I'll start giving away mice to everybody and mouse pads and all that. Maybe I'll do a whole giveaway sale or something. I have no clue. We'll see what the future holds. The next setting for mice that you need to know for your sensitivity is your liftoff distance. Long story short, people have 1 LOD, 2 LOD. I recommend making it as low as possible, because what it does is it's how high you have to raise your mouse before it stops tracking the position. Which basically means if you lift up your mouse, you can hover and still have your mouse track without even touching the mouse pad. So the smaller that number is, the less it tracks at a higher height. And then the final setting that matters to you is your polling rate. Nowadays, 4K polling rate has become the industry standard. And what that means is your mouse updates 1,000 times at 1,000 polling rate. I think per second or per millisecond. I don't know. But the higher it is, the more it updates per whatever unit of time. So in general, you want higher because you have more updates. Your mouse is more accurate to where you're tracking. Now, some people argue if you notice a difference, sometimes if you don't. I notice a difference personally. It might be placebo. I don't think it is, but it could be. So take that with what you will. But in general, if you buy a industry standard mouse nowadays, it will have 4K polling rates, sometimes 8K. So I would just recommend you crank that all the way up. If you crank it up and you play maybe an older game and you notice your frame rate feels really off, I would crank it back down, because what it does is it's really CPU intensive. So your CPU basically explodes whenever you're doing it. So some games aren't optimized for that, and it makes your frame rate tank. So if you ever notice your frame rate's tanking and you have no clue why, it's probably your polling rate. If you recently cranked it up to 4K or 3K or 2K or whatever. So just crank it back down for those games. And then if you want to convert from one game to another, there's this website right here, mousesensitivity.com. I love this website. There's others that are more simple and things like that. I don't care. I love this one. I've used this one for a long time. There's also a subscription for it that if you want more precision. Only if you're a loser like me do that. If you're a normal human being, please don't waste your money on it. You don't need it. It gives you everything you need, and if it doesn't, most other websites will. So please don't do that. All you do, you scroll down, you choose game 1, the game that you're currently playing, enter all the information you can, and then you head down to game 2 and enter the game you want to switch to, maybe the DPI you want to switch to, and all of that. And then it'll give you everything you need underneath that. Your sensitivity for the other game, the DPI you would use, the centimeters per 360, all of it. So this website is a go-to for me. Also will be in the resources tab of my Discord, and if I remember, inside the description of this video. Then there's 2 more big things. Oh, angle snapping, raw Excel. No. If you're not cracked already, shut up. Don't use angle snapping, please. Please don't do it. Don't do angle snapping. Don't use raw Excel. Don't use any of it. Stop cheating. Get better aim first. I understand some people like it, blah, blah, blah. It's just covering up for bad technique. That's all it does. Why not just get better technique and then aim train? So please, if you guys need help, I have the most awesome community that I'm probably going to yap about later in this video that will help you. Don't cheat. Don't use things that are compensating for a poor technique. And then the king of all sensitivity conversations, but my muscle memory. If you follow this channel at all, if you're not brand new, you've heard me say muscle memory is stupid, it's not real, blah, blah, blah. It's real for some things. Aim is mostly hand-eye coordination. You don't need to worry about muscle memory for that. Your aim will follow. No matter what your sensitivity is, no matter what you change it to, no matter what mouse you use. It's just sensitivities and what mouse and what mousepad are just optimizers. It doesn't change if you have poor technique. It can help poor technique and cover it up better, or it can help you perform at your best, but it will never change if you just have bad technique. So before you guys worry about muscle memory, it doesn't matter as much as most people think. Now that you know the basics of sensitivity, we have to decide what sensitivity we should use, and then the conversation of, well, should I use high? Should I use low? Should I use my wrist? Should I use my arm? All of that comes up. So I'm going to break it down for you guys. First up, high sensitivity. High sensitivity is awesome for aim practice, because when you play Kovacs, when you play things like that, whenever you play an aim trainer, you have to decide what sensitivity to use, and you have to decide what your weaknesses are, which we'll get more into later in the video. Now, high sensitivity, the issue with it is you can react very quickly, but you can also see all your mistakes very easily. That's why people that play games like Valorant usually just opt for a very low sensitivity, because it doesn't matter if you're very quick in Valorant. All you really need is smoothness and micro adjustability, and you're fine. And low sensitivity helps with that, while high sensitivity accentuates your issues. So when you're using high sensitivity, you mostly want to focus on games where you're tracking, or maps that you're tracking and things like that. Or if you have shakiness in your aim and you want to train that, high sensitivity is the best way to train it, because it focuses on it and you can see very clearly what your issue is whenever you're tracking with a high sensitivity. Also, for a high one, you'll mostly use your wrist to aim, but then you switch over to low sensitivity. Low sensitivity, you mostly use your arm. Low sensitivity, you're just dragging around, you're flicking, you're doing this. It was actually my favorite for a really long time because it was easy. Low sensitivity would hide all of my issues with my aim. I wouldn't really be able to see it. If I'm shaking, if I'm this, I'm that, you can't see it if you're on super low sense, because it covers up most of your issues, especially if you crank it low enough. Because I used to do 80 centimeters per 360 on games like Valorant and CS, and it was insane. But it didn't matter, because as long as I had good game sense or positioning, I didn't really need to do 180s or 360s much, so it didn't affect me negatively. But the issue I've noticed when people talk about sensitivity, or they talk about aiming, or they talk about arm versus wrist, is most people give definite answers, when you really should be using both. You should have a range of sensitivities that you're able to play in. And I heard someone mention, I think it was Matty OW, he mentioned about sensitivity range, and you want to increase your sensitivity range, or basically the range of sensitivities you could use, meaning how low of a sensitivity and how high of a sensitivity. And that made me think about one of my friends. He's a guy that's been aim training, not as much, but he mostly aim trained to compete with me, and it was fun. But we've always played FPS games together. And during his biggest arc of aim training and practicing and this and that, he worked his way up to an 800 DPI, like 14 sensitivity on Overwatch, which, if you know, is insane. Like, that's insanity. But he just kept increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing and increasing, and he controls it. He controls it like it's a 5 in Overwatch, 800 DPI, which is crazy that he has that level of control. But it's all you have to do. You should always try to push yourself. Now, what I do is, I have a specific way of doing it that I actually teach people in my Discord. I have a baseline sensitivity I use for my game of choice. Like for Valorant, I always use like an 800 DPI, a 0.2 or a 0.3, somewhere in that range. Usually 0.27 is my favorite, but I use something in that range, and I never really change off of it. But when I'm aim training and I want to fix my issues, I always train at like a 5 or a 5.75 800 DPI in Overwatch. And slowly, I increase it. Whenever I start mastering that sense, whenever it's not as hard, I try to increase it. Because the faster it is, the harder it is to control usually. And from the many people I've seen aim train, and many people I've talked to, not just in my Discord, most people have the same issues. And later in this video, I'm going to tell you what all those issues are. And at the very end, I'll teach you how to make a perfect playlist for yourself. But the main idea is you want to increase your sensitivity and practice on sensitivities you're not comfortable with. I prefer not to do this practice in my favorite game, or the game I'm trying to get better at or practice in, because I don't really like throwing my elo. So instead of throwing my elo, I decide, let me just go play an aim trainer and do this, and make myself uncomfortable in the aim trainer instead. Now, most people don't have an issue when they play a low sensitivity. The issue they have is they run out of mouse space, or they play in a position that makes them extremely uncomfortable. So you have to decide what your issue is. Do you, when you play games, do sometimes you get to a position on your mouse pad where you just can't aim there? You need to be dead center, or you have to be to the right for you to be able to aim properly? If that's your issue, go do low sensitivity. Play all the maps you normally play and all the practice you normally do on a low sensitivity, because you're going to be able to play in positions of your mouse pad that you hate playing in. On top of that, it will teach you how to reset your mouse quicker so you're in bad positions for less time. And if you have an issue with stability or smoothness or tracking, then go to a really high sensitivity, because that will fix those problems. Because you'll have to track in a really small area and have to make really fine adjustments, so you'll have to work on those micro movements of your aim. Now, how do you choose a grip for your mouse? And what is tension management? For your grip for your mouse, there's 3 that most people talk about, and you can have a hybrid of all of them. There's palm grip, where your palm is touching your mouse and you're kind of just flat on the mouse. This is the worst grip because you have the least amount of control, but you have the most stability, and it's what I find a lot of casual players use. Then there's claw grip, where you claw up your fingers, where you almost make hunches on all of them, and you control your mouse like that. The difference between this and palm grip is it's very similar, but you also have the ability to use your fingertips to aim. And speaking of fingertips, the last grip, fingertip grip, where all of your aim is done with your fingertips. Now, you can have a combination of these. Some people have it claw palm, where their palm touches the mouse, but they also have a claw-shaped grip with their fingers. Now, you have to figure out what your own grip is on your own. I probably put up photos of each to help you guys, but at the end of the day, there's no one that can tell you what grip is right for you, what kind of grip you should use. I've seen people do every kind of grip and reach a pro level or reach way above average. So before you stress about that, Just worry about what makes you comfortable, what you can aim with kind of well or well enough for you, and then practice with it. Because your aim will adjust. You may even find a new grip that you like in the future. So don't waste too much time saying, "Oh, I can't aim train. It's not optimal. My wrist. It's doing this. It's doing that. I can't do it. I can't aim train." Don't worry about it. It's never that big of a deal. The only big thing I can tell you about your grip, please do not only use your wrist. Too much wrist movement and all that is just not good for your wrist. Especially if you have weak wrists. If you've never really worked out on them, or you've never done fingertip push-ups or blah, 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 it will make them weaker, and it's more susceptible to hurting them. Also, if this is you, if you're one of those people that hover their arm off the table, and then they only have their wrist on the table, please stop. You've probably seen the video of Shroud literally saying, "Please stop doing this." All of you, please stop doing it. You're gonna hurt yourself. And if you really want a future in aiming, if you actually care that much about getting good aim, then I don't think you want to do that. So please don't. And then there's tension management. Some people death grip their mouse, some people choke it, slam it, break it. Unfortunately, tension management isn't something you fix overnight. A lot of it is conscious efforts that you have to make to fix it. So sometimes you'll be playing and you'll notice it's gripping to death and you're squeezing it really hard. People tell you, "Oh, visualize you're holding an egg. Visualize you're doing that." It works sometimes, and if it works for you, yo, go for it. That's your tip. Visualize your mouse as an egg and you're trying to grip it lightly and hold it. That doesn't work for me. I'd be making scrambled eggs on my table if that was the truth. So instead, try to give yourself conscious efforts to fix it. So when you're playing, maybe you're aim training, maybe you're playing a match, tell yourself, "Okay, calm down, grip a little looser." Maybe go, breathe in and breathe out. All of those help me. It's a long process. I still death grip my mouse. I know plenty of great aimers that death grip their mouse. It's normal. It's not the easiest thing to fix. But the only way I've found to fix it, and the only way I've seen other people fix it, is making conscious efforts to fixing it. Thinking about it, telling themselves not to do it, and when they aim train, just trying to practice good habits until it becomes second nature. Now for the next point. All the ergonomics of everything. How you should sit, your monitor distance. What do you do about your arm dragging on the mouse pad? First up, sitting properly. When you're playing, there's only a few points you really have to pay attention to. You want to be able to have your mouse to the side of you without having to raise your shoulder or lift up your arms. You should be able to have a very comfortable grip of your mouse without raising your arms at all. That includes your keyboard as well. You should have your back up against the chair, preferably with lumbar support, but not everybody got money for that, or not everyone wants to have a pillow pressed up behind them, and then have your feet planted on the ground. Now, I used to play hovering for a very long time, and I never really noticed it affected me at all. But as soon as I started playing with my feet actually planted on the ground, it is a noticeable difference. I don't know, I think you feel calmer. I have no clue what it is. I just recommend you do it. That's all I know. Now, a big tip I don't know why no one talks about, and you're gonna need to hear this. This is one thing that even pro players might benefit from hearing. Have a light, some kind of bright surface or something that you can light up behind the main monitor you use. The reason why is it makes me more alert. It makes it so I get less headaches when I play. It hurts my eyes less. And I think it contrasts better to your monitor that you can see better. Don't make it so you can see the light. Just make it so it's a light illuminating behind your screen. And it will make you feel better, I'm telling you. I used to have LEDs I'd glue to my wall. Now I have a lamp put behind my monitor. Any type of light to change the dark background for your wall behind you. And you also don't want just a super wide distance behind you. You want something there. So try to have a light behind you. I'm telling you, it will help with headaches, it'll help with your eyes, it'll help with everything. And I don't know why more people don't speak about that. And speaking of your monitor, now your monitor distance. I hear from the grapevine that if you get close enough, I think you can smell the enemy's movements and their intentions whenever you're playing. So I think you should do that. If you get close enough, you'll probably be able to taste what they're doing. Seriously though, I really get as close as I humanly can to my monitor. I sniff it, I breathe in the pixels. I think I caused some dead pixels right in the center from my big nose sniffing it up. So I'm not sure. In general, people say it's healthy to have I think 6 inches or something, a little more than that, like a foot between your monitor. I recommend it because sometimes you fishbowl. or fish lens, I don't know what it is, whatever it's called. You get really close and you kind of forget about everything outside of the center of your screen. So if when you sit back, you can almost path better, you can see all your targets better. So what I do is, whenever I have to be really precise, like I'm holding an angle and it's only that angle that I can see, I get really close so I can react quicker and see every pixel change quicker. But when I'm out in the open or I have a lot of things I might have to react to, I sit back so I can see everything instead of tunnel visioning on one point. And then a big one I've been hearing in my Discord and from my friends, arm sleeves. A lot of people, when they play, they can feel their forearm or their arm or whatever dragging on the mouse pad. And it sticks to it, it slows them down. Sometimes you're in a humid area and it messes up your aim. The best thing I found is either wear a long sleeve shirt, which we're gamers. I don't think we ever wear shirts, or clothes if possible when you play games. I can't wait to see the comments and say, who does bro talking about we? But I don't want to wear a shirt while I play. It's hot in here. My PC is like an oven. So instead of that, I have an arm sleeve. You can get them off Amazon for really cheap. I'll send you guys a link of the ones I have. You just put them on, and it adds material for you to stop sticking to your mouse pad or whatever you use to play. You could also try to wash your whole arm, scrub it, clean, bathe. We're gamers, we don't bathe, let's be so real. So forget about that either. No one showers. We don't need to shower. All right, we put on an arm sleeve, we call it a day. So just put on an arm sleeve, call it a day. Now, before you can even start aim training, you need to know this. You need to understand the way sleep and neuroplasticity is a big factor of aim training. Now, in my comments, I had a few people mentioning balisong tricks, or that, however you say it, the little butterfly knife tricks. They always spoke about how in that community, it's really popular that you need to sleep after you do it, and it'll help you notice benefits quickly. And the same is true for every skill. If there's ever a skill you want to get better at, sleep. Sleep a relatively short time after finishing what you're doing. In general, sleep will help you. Because if you sleep, that's when our brain makes all the connections and helps us learn. It helps us learn new habits, helps us improve our motor functions. So what I do is, plenty of people have been asking me, what time is too early? What time is too late? When should I train based off of sleep? I train like 3 hours before bed, so it's at least still fresh in my mind, but I also have plenty of time to wind down, maybe watch a YouTube video, relax, all that. I don't expect you to like, oh boy, let me get on aim training, let me sit here for 1 hour, and then 10 minutes later go to sleep. That's insane. I don't know how you could do that, so that's not what I'm talking about when I say push your aim training closer to when you sleep. But you should aim train closer to when you sleep, or practice whatever habit you're trying to learn closer to when you're going to sleep. And for aim training, unless you're paying for coaching, or you're joining my Discord, which we do free coaching whenever I get a chance. But if you don't have someone to coach you or watch what issues you have to be your own worst critic. You have to point out everything wrong with you and your aim. You can't sit there and sugarcoat any of it, because you're never going to improve. Aim training doesn't clearly show you what you're doing wrong. You can still hit really high scores doing things incorrectly. High scores doesn't always mean you got better. Really big jumps in high scores usually does, but smaller jumps or micro wins does not mean you've gotten better. So you want to focus on the actual technique of it, or what you're doing wrong. How do you know what correct technique is? I'll get into that later. I'll teach you that later. But the best way is watch the best of the best. Watch all the best players you can find and watch their technique if you're really serious about getting better aim. And if you're not, I have something for all the normal people too. All the people that aren't super serious about this and want to go pro, I have something for you near the end of the video as well. So stick around for that. But you don't want to sit there and, sometimes you don't want to sit there and waste, let me spend 30 hours doing this, let me spend doing this. So if you want to waste less time, you have to figure out what your issues are. Sometimes when you play on a high sense, and sometimes you can see you're vibrating when you aim. So you need to notice that, and you need to try to figure out how to fix it. Or you have to at least, once you acknowledge it, it's a lot easier to fix because you can see it. You can see what you're doing wrong, so you can purposely make efforts to fixing it. But too many people just play aim trainers and they never improve. They're like, I'm doing this place, I'm doing this. I spent 10 hours last week and I did it. One of the biggest comments in my last video was, yeah, bro, you took that many hours. That kind of sucks. Plenty of other people did it faster, blah, 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 blah. You realize that that's the whole point. I wasted a ton of time. That's why I know what I know. Too many people base their opinions off of great players. They base their opinions off of players that really never struggled in their life. They kind of just picked it up and just did it and then just won. But I wasted time. I sucked. I did all of it wrong. So that's why I know what you should do right and what is right to do. Now, before we get into picking an aim trainer or training specific issues, I think this is about the middle of the video. So it's time for the mid of the yap sesh, just like in the other 2 episodes. Honestly, I don't even know what I want to talk about. It's so awesome. I was just this whole time I've been recording this video, I've been talking to people in my community. I have some awesome people in my Discord. I'm not going to lie. I have awesome people in my community. You guys comment such nice stuff and this and that. You guys are awesome. I'm not going to lie. It's really fun to talk to you guys. And the amount of comments and likes on the last video and the amount of people that subscribed from the last video was insane. Like, I can't even help but, like, be sappy. It's so awesome. Because you guys are amazing. I've top 10 communities on YouTube so far, for real. There's plenty of other communities I've seen are they're mean, they're annoying, they're just not good people. My community's awesome and really helpful, you know? Of course, we're all humans, so we all have our own differences and our personalities and things like that. But everyone's pretty respectful, pretty helpful. And even, you guys might have seen for this video, this isn't my gameplay. I have such a cool community that one of the guys that I talked to, he offered to give me gameplay to play just so I could focus on making a great video instead of having to play a game that I don't even want to play to make a gameplay just for people to watch. And speaking of the gameplay to watch, so many people. Now, the people that did comment it probably won't even get to this point in the video, but so many people said to me, is it just me or this aim kind of sucks? The gameplay's terrible. Yes, I know. The gameplay wasn't supposed to be good. If you're watching this video, I mean, I'm glad, but most people are supposed to be listening to this. This was not content I created hoping that people would watch. I did add like little things to show you, like little snippets here and there for you to look at, but most of the gameplay is just for background, just for something that people can look at, you know? It's not actually made for, oh yeah, you guys gotta analyze this. I know the gameplay sucked. Everyone who asked that or talked about how bad it was, I told them all, that gameplay was recorded after me spending like 12 hours recording, editing, captioning, everything that video. The gameplay was the last thing I recorded because it was not as important as me getting good information to you guys. So that's what I prioritized. Thankfully, I have an amazing community, and Sleb, I think he has a YouTube channel. Maybe I'll plug it. I don't know how. I mean, I'll have to ask him. But he's awesome. He helped me with the gameplay. You might even see German gameplay. Yeah, that's him. That's not my fault. So far, my community's been great, and I love it. I thank you guys so much. I love you guys. You guys are amazing. Some people probably get tired of me being a loser in the middle of the video, like, oh, he's so sappy, you're gonna make me vomit, go away. Like, yeah, you should see the announcements in my Discord. Every other announcement, oh, I love you guys, yippee! I'm a loser, sometimes, when I want to be. I do my best. But before we get back to the video, thank you guys so much. Anyone that actually watched this far, I love you guys, thank you guys. If you guys want me to go viral so more people learn this information, or if you just in general like this video, leave a like, leave a comment. It tells YouTube, oh boy, this is a good video. Especially with all the people that watched to this point. If you even watched this point, YouTube thinks this video is amazing, you know? So thank you so much. I love you guys. Now, picking an aim trainer. There are 2 primary aim trainers that people talk about. There's Aim Labs and there's Kovacs. Now, it's pretty widely accepted. Most people prefer Kovacs, but Aim Labs is free. So if I were you, if you're new and you're getting into this and you want to learn how to do this, how to play, all of that, download Aim Labs. If it's something you like, then I would recommend everyone to buy Kovacs. But before you make that financial commitment, try out Aim Labs. See if you like aim training. Most people have agreed with me when I say Aim Labs and Kovacs also feel different. I agree. I might be insane. My community might be insane. It just feels different to me. I feel like Kovacs feels better. I feel like Aim Labs kind of, I don't know, it feels strange to me sometimes. And also, the biggest reason why I don't play Aim Labs is Kovacs has more scenarios. If they both had the same amount of scenarios and I was as knowledgeable on both, I would just play Aim Labs. Because it's free, and it has a lot of cool integrations for it. But most of my channel will be focused on Kovacs, and I try to teach people Kovacs and things like that. So now that you've decided a name trainer, what should you do? Where do you go from here? How do you choose a map? How do you do all of that? Well, I'm going to introduce you guys to Voltaic. Voltaic is a huge community right now. It's a big AIM community. Everyone that plays AIM trainers knows about them, basically. And if you don't, now you do. They have these things. They have a whole bunch of resources in their Discord server. They have a benchmark. They have a whole bunch of different things. And if you ever have any of the issues that I'm going to mention later, Voltaic has tons of routines that you can use at any skill level to fix your issues. And at the end of the video, I'll teach you how I would use their resources to make myself a perfect playlist and how you can too. I'll leave you guys a link for the playlist for their benchmarks, but all you really do is you follow the guide on it. It's going to give you guys something that you can look at that almost makes it like a video game training your aim. Besides just, oh boy, look at me, I get to watch my score go up. Now you're going to get to watch your score go up. And my favorite part about it is you get ranks. And I tell people, I actually had someone else mention it the other day, this is the first game that you guys get to play and you don't have teammates throwing you. So now you can't even say, oh, well, my teammates are the reason why I'm a low rank. The only reason why you'll ever be a low rank in this is because you aren't good enough yet and you haven't practiced enough or something along those lines. But you're hearing all this about Kovacs and Voltaic and benchmarks, but you load up Kovacs and it's ugly and you don't know what you're doing. Well, I'm going to teach you guys a few basics really quick. All you have to know is, if you want pretty visuals, go on Google, go on YouTube, look up Kovacs settings, and just copy someone. Seriously, just copy someone else. I messed with mine for a while. Mine is custom kind of, but listen, just look up someone better than you, copy theirs, and call it a day. Because it's really not worth the time and the effort. Because we're mostly here to train our aim. We're not here to look at something pretty. Now, most people don't know having a textured background helps more with tracking, and the reason why is because it adds depth. So you can actually see the movements of the bot better. You see if they come closer to you, see if they go farther away. It's clear. And for static scenarios, it's better to use a dark background or a solid color. And the reason why is you just want to see where that target is. It's never going to move. It's never going to do anything. So you just want to be able to point and click on that target. So what I would do is I would copy the themes for other people and just use it based on what I'm doing that day. But for most people, it doesn't matter. Unless you're try-harding, it really doesn't matter. Get something basic, get something you like, and copy it. The biggest question I've ever gotten, I'm surprised, and it kind of confused me too. It's just been so long that I forgot it used to confuse me. How do I use a playlist? I have these stupid, weird, long playlist codes that people give me, but how do I use it in Kovacs? Perfect. I got you. All you do, you head over here to online playlists, then you scroll all the way down. You move your mouse all the way down to this box all the way at the bottom. You just click on it if you have it copied, and then it will automatically paste, and all you do is click search. Now, once you've searched it, it's going to select that playlist for you, and what I tell everyone to do is click the star next to it, put it all the way at the top of your list, so you never lose it again. And for the future, if you ever want to find it, you go back there, or you can download it to your PC by clicking the little arrow over here, and it'll download to your local playlist so you can use it. The only issue with it is, if you download it, I don't think it updates whenever the map creator updates it, but that usually doesn't matter. It's no big deal, so you don't have to worry about it too much. Sometimes you don't always have internet, so if you want to do a local playlist, it helps you. You want to train offline. Also, this awesome thing about Kovacs is if you go over to your sensitivity, it tells you your centimeters per 360 if you enter your DPI and you enter your sens. Now, as a baseline for everyone playing, when you're first starting out, I have everyone do Overwatch FOV 103. This FOV is pretty baseline, it's pretty normal, so that's what everyone should start on. If you want to change it later on, you want to mess with it, you want to test things, go ahead. But for now, you just want to start getting better aim. Now let's get on to what everyone's been waiting for, the subcategories of aim. First, we're going to talk about static. Static is actually my strong suit. I have a few top 1% scores. 1 wall, 6 targets, small, 6 sphere, hip fire. I have a lot of really high scores for clicking because it's always what I found the most fun. And it's what most people find the most fun. Everyone I ask when they first load up an aim trainer, it's always clicking dots. It's never, oh boy, I love tracking. Very few people have I met that really loved tracking, or at least first loved tracking. I found plenty of people that loved tracking after tracking for a long time, but at first most people didn't. So when you play static clicking, you want to make straight lines between each target, because plenty of people, I've watched it, I was even watching in my Discord the other day. When people aim at static targets, sometimes they try to just barely get it and then round their shot and then get to the next one, which it works for high scores sometimes, but you build bad fundamentals. So what I recommend everyone to do is take a map, take the targets, and just make straight lines from one to the other, even if it takes you forever. Because you will get faster when you get better accuracy, and you get smoother at having good accuracy. So you want to practice your correct technique first, which is take a target, straight line towards the next, try to undercorrect and then finish the correction afterwards, and just keep doing that between each target. The biggest thing that changes really good aimers from really normal aimers is the better players, and I've even noticed in myself for most of my high scores, there's a fluidity to your aim. It's almost like you're doing smoothness tracking, but in a static scenario. It's hard for me to explain. It's like a level of pacing that you do where you're not really rushing, but you're just kind of, you're always moving. That's the best way I can describe it. You're fluid, you're always moving. Like, what's his name? Was it Bruce Lee said? Be water, my friend. You know? That's what you want to be. You want to be water. You want to sit there, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Hope you like the sound effects. They're here to stay. But yeah, you want to be smooth with it. You want to try to keep moving. Even when you miss, you shouldn't spend extra time like, oh no, I have to go back, I messed up. Just keep going. Just go to the next one, go to the next one, go to the next one. And in time, not only will you get faster, but it'll feel better. And then there's dynamic clicking. Dynamic clicking, I don't even want to talk about. There's nothing to say about it. Dynamic clicking is just tracking and switching with extra steps. I'll tell you guys later how they all link together, but for right now, don't worry about it. We'll get back to that. Now, for tracking. Tracking is the king of I have issues with my aim. Tracking is usually what I have people play, like any kind of tracking map or things like that, is what I personally have people play to see what's wrong with their aim. Because I think the issues with static clicking maps are much more minor. They're not as noticeable or they're not as hard to fix as tracking issues. And tracking issues mess up all of your aim. For smoothness tracking, you want to focus on smoothly tracking, obviously, and you want to focus on not overcorrecting, not overreacting, and not flicking at the target. You kind of want to just watch the way it moves, and I find that staring at the target works the best, and just follow it with your mouse. This also teaches you how to look at your crosshair and the target, because you almost want to watch both of them at the same time and make them line up. Because a lot of people, sometimes they know they're under tracking. And under tracking isn't always my sensitivity is too slow. It's just usually, it's an issue fundamentally. You're not able to adjust and see your errors quick enough. Because some people see it, but they see it 50 milliseconds too late or 500 too late, when most of aiming is actively reacting to what's happening. Most people lose focus and then they forget to actively react and then they snap back to reality and then their tracking gets better. So for smoothness tracking, you want to focus on where your crosshair is relative to your target, and you want to focus on making smooth lines following the movements of the target. Now, onto reactive tracking. For reactive tracking, it's almost the opposite. You kind of do want to flick onto the target to keep yourself accurate, but you want to flick, then convert to being smooth. Flick, convert to being smooth, following what the target does. Because some of them will AD strafe, and they'll spam it. Just being smooth and slow isn't going to get you on target. Or they also have maps where the target blinks, similar to Tracer in Overwatch. You obviously don't want to, let me make a nice smooth line over to that target. That doesn't make any sense. You're not going to do that. You're going to sit there, oh boy, he flicked, whoosh, and you move quickly over to it. You're not going to sit there, hold on. It doesn't make sense. You know that doesn't make sense. But then, if they're making really long strafes, it doesn't make any sense to flick on them 8 times. If they're doing a long strafe, you want to do a long, smooth motion. And reactive tracking, it really helps you to do a lot of things. It helps you to use your wrist and your arm to aim. It helps you read a target. It helps you play better in real games because it's extremely obscene the movements the targets do. So when you play a real game, the movement they do is going to be nothing compared to that. So it trains a lot of things. And in general, I recommend most people Don't play anything except for smoothness maps and reactive maps. Because if you're new, that's usually the biggest issue I've seen with new players. There's very few new players I've seen that have other issues or as bad of other issues. Most of them use super slow sensitivities because they have bad smoothness or reactivity in their aim, and low sensitivities helps with that. So I would highly recommend most people, if you ever aimed and you see yourself shaking on the target or vibrating, or when you switch to a static target, you almost overclick them and you shake on top of them instead of being able to make tiny precise movements, then you probably need to train your precision, tracking, your smoothness, things like that, not actually your static clicking. And that leads me into target switching. Target switching, I'm not even going to talk about. There's nothing to say about it. Target switching is just static clicking and tracking in one. That's all it is. If you suck at tracking or if you suck at precision movements, you're going to suck at target switching, speed or evasive. The reason why? Because that's all it is. You have a really tiny target that's moving pretty slow and normally isn't hard to hit, but you can't hit it because you're going to flick to it. You're not going to have the precision in your aim and you're going to shake on top of it and you're going to miss, even if it's moving at snail speed. I think that the one category you shouldn't train as much is static clicking because it's usually not people's issue. Now, if you play static clicking and you realize, wow, you're really terrible at micro adjustments, absolutely. Please prioritize that. But most people, their first few issues is not that. Their first few issues are, I'm shaking on the target, I'm too slow to react, I see what's happening and it takes me 10 years to even react to it or do anything about it, or it feels like I can't even visually keep track of how fast this target's moving. All of those things are really common. Not being able to do a straight line from one target to another is not nearly as common, and if it is, usually smoothness training actually helps with that. And the only other big issue I normally see is people are rushing too much. They're just spam clicking, they're ending with like 60% accuracy, 70%, and that's a very easy fix. That's why I tell people to prioritize tracking first, because that usually takes more time than just simple fixes like telling yourself to slow down and then slowly getting better. With tracking, it's not as much technique. A lot of it is, if you have the mouse control, you have it. If you don't, you don't. So, how do you make a perfect playlist? You know all this, you know that, oh, well, maybe my issue's this, or maybe my issue's that. What do I do about it? Perfect. What I'm going to tell you to do, go on YouTube, go on Voltaic Discord, go in my Discord, copy every single playlist you see, especially if you're new to Kovacs and you don't know a lot of the names, copy them all. Play them all when you're bored, play all the ones that have different scenarios for them, try them all out, then see which ones were the hardest for you and you significantly underperformed compared to the average. Like if you look at the average, it'll say average 1,000 out of 50,000 players. If you severely underperform for that and not for something else, try to copy those. Make a playlist of those and say, I'm going to add this one, I'm going to add this one, I'm going to add this one, and add them to your own playlist and work on those. Now, for my example, I know my issue was reactive tracking and smoothness tracking. So I created a playlist with only a few topics. It was Fugala, it was track stop, and I added a whole bunch of them for my skill level. If you don't know what's your skill level, go do the benchmarks on Voltaic, and Voltaic will give you fundamental routines at your rank. Copy those fundamental routines, play all the routines, and then see which ones are your issues. You should be able to tell. It's not like, oh, I'm not sure if it's my issue. You're going to go into the map and you'll be like, holy hell, why is it moving so fast? Why is this so hard? I hate this. Or you look like you're vibrating when you try to play. You'll notice. You'll play it and you'll be like, wow, this is really terrible. I hate this. It's not going to be like, oh my god, I'm not sure. No, you're going to be sure. Most of the maps, especially like the vertical tracking ones and stuff, when I used to suck, I knew right away when I played the map. It's like, wow, I'm bad at this. If you click on a new map and you've tried it out and you're like, wow, I'm bad at this, take that, put it in your own playlist. How do you make a playlist? Go to local, click the plus, create a playlist. It's pretty simple. And then if you found a map and you like it, but it's too easy, but it's definitely an issue of yours, what I do is I go over to the search tab in online scenarios and I type the key part of the name in. Let's say it's a multi-click map. I type multi-click, maybe multi-click 180, and then it'll be 800 different maps called multi-click that'll pop up, all of them at different difficulties. Let's say I tell you to play Fugala. Maybe but Fugula regular is too hard for you. Type Fugula, maybe you'll see a gold version or an easy version. Play that one, add that to your playlist. Or maybe you're cracked and you want to do extra small targets because regular size targets are too easy. Then type extra small or type 1 wall 6 targets or 6 sphere, and then you'll see an extra small version pop up. Kovacs, the naming of it is all pretty consistent, so it makes it very easy for new players to find something if they know how to look for it, and I just told you how. So it's perfect. You guys should be able to figure it out. If you ever need help, we have the greatest Discord on earth, the nicest people. I've been held against my will multiple times to give away ownership because some people think because they're more active than me, because I'm busy, they deserve ownership. So I have comedians in my Discord too. He's gonna definitely leave a comment on this video. It'll be funny. Or he's gonna DM me. But yeah, we have a great Discord. We have a lot of help, and everyone helps when they can. There's plenty of resources that we're trying to add. It's still a work in progress because I'm no Discord master. I'm not a Discord admin pro, but we're adding what we can. Anyway, sorry, I started yapping. Back to the playlist. After you add a few maps that you like or you hate, and you know it's going to help you, find a consistent sensitivity that it's hard for you to play those on. Like I said earlier, I recommend a high one, because high sensitivity shows most of your issues really well. You may notice that reactivity or smoothness isn't your issue. Then you want to knock it really low down, so you can get used to playing in uncomfortable positions on your mousepad like I mentioned earlier. A lot of aim training, it's not hard to get really good aim, and hopefully my channel helps a lot with that. But getting really good aim's easy, as long as you kind of know where to look and know what to look for. And that's the point of these videos. I hope this video is able to help anyone new and anyone old learn new things or try out new things, because it's a very information dense video and I think it's a lot of good stuff that people can learn from this. Anyways, I probably did a face reveal already in this video. If I didn't, hi, here's my face. If I did already, no, I'm not putting another picture up unless I feel like it when I'm editing. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. It's been so awesome making these videos. I really hope this Yap session lived up to the last and lived up to the one before that. If you did enjoy the video and if it lived up, then please leave a comment, leave a like if you enjoyed it. And the more engagement you guys have, the better YouTube thinks this video is. So the more you guys comment, the more you guys like, the more people that can learn about this information I have to tell, the more people that can find my channel, and the more I can help everyone. And if you enjoyed this video and you've never seen Yap Session Episode 2, go check it out right over here. I love you guys, thanks for watching, and have a good one. God bless you.
Look, Papa's home, baby. My little stinkums was waiting for me. How you? Little tail, look at the tail. I missed you too. Come. Wait. My stinkums. Oh.